Good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Taylor. Welcome to the Pestforce presentation tonight. Hopefully we can get through things in about sort of 45 minutes, give you a bit more of an idea of what we're about. Obviously, if you're here today, then I'm assuming that you have inquired and you're interested in maybe exploring the idea of starting your own business, but maybe like some, you're actually petrified of maybe actually doing it. So I just wanted to show my face to start with, because I know some webinars, it's all hidden behind slides. So it's important that I show my face. I know it's probably more suited to radio, but I have to live with what I've got, and I have done for 50 odd years. Gail is here tonight as well. She's in the background, so hopefully she can help me. So we're going to crack on. Hopefully you're going to like what you see. And it may well invoke some questions as we go through things. There is a question bar on the right hand side. We will try and answer questions. If we don't get around to it tonight, then we'll certainly tackle it as we maybe tomorrow. So let me crack on. I've got some slides to help us go through things, so hopefully it's going to move things along. So let's just go. So this is Pestforce. We do pest control and environmental services. And I'm proud to say that we are actually the most reviewed pest control business in the UK today. You won't find anyone else with as many reviews as we do. And we're very proud of that. It's part of our ethos. It's part of the reason why we have been successful, is we really do make sure the customer gets a great experience. And that really has helped push our business on. So let's crack on to a few more slides. So my name is Sean Taylor. I'm the MD of the Forces Group. I've been in franchising many years, over 20 years. I love the concept of franchising. I love helping people to develop a business, to teaching them to fish and therefore feeding themselves and really making a success of it. And we've learned so much over the years. We've made mistakes. We've had some great successes. So there's a real mixture, but we take all that experience that we've learned and hopefully push it into our network and help people thrive. So we've been featured in a few magazines last year, wrote some articles, and it was nice to get, they were picked up by the BPCA, the British Pest Control Association. So nice to be recognised, talking a little bit about waste and why do we waste so much on boxes, and also about an actual feature about our franchise brand, because there are a lot of employee models out there, but there aren't many franchise models out there. And I think that's a real key thing and a key difference for us. So, we are the most reviewed pest control business in the UK. We carry out pest control and environmental services. They sort of go together hand in hand, and it gives a much more round impact of what we do, because it's not all about killing things, it's controlling things, managing things. And there's been certainly a lot of development in the pest control and environmental services over the years, going into sort of specialist cleaning and other such like. And we do it for both domestic and commercial customers across the UK. Certainly, if you get involved with us, then you will certainly start more in the domestic market and evolve into the commercial market. But we have this thing about, we're here to keep people free from pests. We do pest control, but our objective is to keep people free from pests. So to stop them coming in the first place, as much it is about removing them. And we also work with a growing number of national brands. So, here centrally, we develop contracts nationally and push them back out into the network, and we're there to look after their property and keep them pest free. So as I said, we are the most reviewed business in the UK. That puts us in a category of one. Very clearly say that. What makes us different? We are the most reviewed business in the UK. There's not many people in the UK that can say they're the number one at what they do. 6,500. It's actually, these are the number of reviews that we capture in our system called Trustis. There's actually over 7,000 reviews on some other systems. So if you aggregated them all together, it would come to something like 7,000 reviews. And as you can see, it's quite strong in its rating. I'll be honest, if you dig deep, there are some bad reviews in there. There's some one-star reviews, and it's interesting. It's a one-star review, but it says brilliant service. So sometimes customers get it around the wrong way a little bit. But anyway, we're proud of that, and I'm not ashamed to say that we might have a few bad ones, but when you service this so many customers, it actually brings balance. If customers only saw 5-star reviews, they might question that we strip out the bad ones, and we don't. And what that has done, even better, was just before lockdown, we entered a competition for best customer service, and we've got down to the last 8. So we're a finalist, and we were about to go to the award ceremony before lockdown, but lockdown happened, so it's all been put off to later in the year. So there's a little bit of intrepidation amongst the team, and winning awards is actually quite a key thing for getting yourself out there, getting your name out there, and being an award winner is, it's not for our, it is for our benefit, but it's to really push the brand and make us different. So here are, you won't be able to read these slides, but if you look at our website, you can go and pick up the reviews. The reviews are built individually by the franchisees, as in they're associated to individual franchisees, but they're all aggregated onto our website. So feel free to go and have a look. And they come from Trustis, which is a product that we use. They come from Facebook. They come from Checkertrade. We pull reviews from lots of different areas. So, tonight, if you are here tonight, then you're somewhere in the picture for potentially moving to become a franchisee. But it's really important for us to point out that it's not right. It's right for some, but it's not for everybody. We're very clear here. Just because you think it's the right thing to do, we have a process to try and make sure that people make the right decision, that you make the right decision, and we make the right decision. Because this is not a small step. It needs to be the right step for you, and the right step for you now. And it might not be the right time now. It might be more suitable later on. But our process makes sure that we tick the boxes, and it might frustrate you if you go through our process right to the end. But every step is there for a reason. And if you like it, it's a deselection process. We have a lot of people that start at the top, and then you have a few that make it through to the bottom. And some of that is from their own choice, and some of it is from our choice. And we're going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, so you can really make an informed decision. This is not all about selling all the good stuff to you. And what's more important, it's okay to say no. Now, I know that some of you may well have seen a presentation like this before. I don't apologize for repeating the things, because I've learned over time that the more you see things, the more things sink in, things come out at you that you may not have seen before. And I'm here also to talk about the current situation with business. So Pestforce dealing with challenges. The current climate is, without a doubt, I think we all understand in our own private lives, in our own business lives, that there's challenges out there, and business is all about challenges. So, you could make this, you could build up the current situation going on in the UK and the world as a major challenge. And it is, but it's how you deal with challenges, no matter how big or small. We all have to conquer our little challenges in life, and it's about adapting, surviving, and thriving. And we never want to go through life and just survive. We want to thrive. But over the last 3 months, a lot of it has been about survival, or it certainly was at the start. Unknown, how do we deal with it? And everyone's dealt with it differently, but I'll talk about, openly and honestly, how we've dealt with it and the challenges that we've had. So here goes some bullet points. So in 2019, the business has evolved over a number of years, but over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen consistent and steady growth, a really much
stronger network that we developed over the years, and it was continuing into 2020 when obviously bang, Corona hit. We're having to reevaluate where we're up to. But when lockdown hit, we lost all our national account customers, or virtually all of them, because they're heavily based a lot of them are based in the retail sector, but obviously with so many different sectors hit, and that happened across the sector. There are companies today that in our sector that have still not recovered from that. But all our national account work closed immediately. It's now beginning to come back on stream. The local work, which is what I mean, the franchisee-led local work, dropped by about 25% immediately. So there was a real shock. And I think, we can all go back to that day in March when, we were all taken aback a little bit by how quickly this thing has developed. But, but after a few weeks, things began to settle. And then when you look into May, we were back to 88% of our pre-lockdown sales. Some guys have self-isolated for obvious reasons, either because family needed to self-isolate or they were regarded in the at-risk category. and we've still got one or two guys who are still challenged with that and are being very choosy about their work doing. And then look at June. June, that actually says 129%. Our sales in June have gone through the roof, and we're talking about the locally generated stuff by franchisees. So the stuff that the stuff that the guys go out and find and do locally, it's either comes in off the website or what they're doing locally and what we support them to do. So the business has actually through June seen a bit of a bounce back, seen some fantastic figures from the guys, and obviously having had a little bit of a drop off, this is a real boost. And I think it reinforces the resistance or the recession resistant nature of pest control. And during lockdown, pest control was actually designated as a key worker. We are key workers. So if we ever had gone to the next stage of lockdown, which was no one can leave their house, we were protected and subject to there being work. But as someone said to me the other day, rats, mice and insects don't care about coronavirus. They carry on. And with people being at home and more exposed to things around their house, that we again saw a boost in calls. What some of the guys did also was to look at the way they changed, the way they would do surveys, and we started offering video surveys. And we're obviously changing the way that we operate to protect ourselves and the customers. And I think from my side personally at the moment, I think too many people think this thing has gone away, and it clearly hasn't. And we need to be mindful, and we're constantly reminding our technicians to be mindful, to give the customers confidence that they know what they're doing and not to take chances. During the lockdown period, we had a very, we saw a little bit of a drop off of work, but what we were very mindful of doing is keeping people really focused. So we actually set up daily webinars, and we shot, I think, over 30 webinars during the lockdown, and we've now basically made that into a whole library of training videos, largely around marketing and selling, but all sorts of different avenues that we went down, and they proved very popular, which is great. So we really focused on actually using our time during lockdown to really drive the business forward, and more importantly to maintain morale and support, because running a business at any point in time, running your own business can be a lonely place, and it was important that we sort of made sure that we were focused on our network, and I think we did that. And I think obviously as weeks went by during lockdown, people got more used to it. It was, we've seen our way through it. We've seen our way through it. Some guys have had real challenges because they have had to self-isolate, but with hopefully out the other side. But as I said earlier, we're not out of this situation, so we need to be mindful of how that's all going to work. And we're beginning to see national accounts come back on stream now as well. What else happened? Well, we've moved our onboard training to online. We actually inducted a new member to the franchise network during lockdown. He was someone that made that decision before lockdown and just decided he was going to push ahead. It's a brave move, but we've pivoted and made sure that we could accommodate with that, and we're going to keep that sort of flexibility of being able to train online in our armament as we move forward. And we've continued, we've actually seen a real influx of interest in the brand. It never ceases to, funny, Christmas time we see an influx. Sometimes during the school holidays we see an influx when people have had a chance to think. And I think what the coronavirus has done is made people really think about what do they want. I think the coronavirus, the impact of coronavirus will actually give people a real reason to make a change, because it may be forced on them, but other people are using it as right, I want to do something different. And we're having lots of those conversations. But as I say, whenever we have those conversations, we go through the same process to make sure it's going to work. We had to furlough staff in the head office because we lost all our national account work. We obviously workload went down, so we furloughed staff, and we're just beginning to bring some of them back to the office. But we never stopped. We operated the office hours as always. We answered the phone as always. Might have been a little bit slower at times, but we maintained our service out to our franchisees and to our customers that had carried on working. And now we're really just ready to continue to build in whatever this new normal looks like. I don't worry about the future, because why worry about something I don't know what's going to happen? I know the outlook doesn't look rosy, but you just don't know. No one really knows. And I think at the moment we're living in a bit of a comfort blanket, and in the next few months, I think, won't be a problem. Things may be more of a challenge, but again, coming back to what I said previously, we find that the pests are quite recession resistant. So that's a real bonus and should be seen as a real key thing. If you are thinking of running your own business or going into your own business now, finding the right thing or the right service is key. And then this other note here on the right hand side is, it has been a challenge. We cannot argue that coronavirus hasn't been a challenge, but we meet these challenges. We have no choice. We have to find a way through it. And I think as all things, when challenges are really presented to you, it brings the best out of people. A little bit of fight and flight, and we certainly had some franchisees in the first week really worry about what was going to happen, and other people straight away looking at new ways of doing things. And as I say, as you've come through the whole period, we ended up with a record month in June, and long may that continue. So the Pestforce vision, there's a real crop of motley crew there. This was taken at one of our conferences. It might have been last year or the year before. We go to a lovely place up in the Midlands. But the vision for us is that there's sort of three stems to it, without going through the detail of it, is about being the most trusted and recommended. So we're not saying that we want to be the biggest. We want to be the most trusted and recommended. And obviously that will in itself pull customers to us. We are a service provider, and we work in that beautiful area that we can be the local service provider, but with a name behind us. So we do stand apart from the national companies, and we stand apart from the local companies, but we can sit nicely in the middle. I talk about running a sustainable and ethical business. Now, when I say that, I don't mean all about sustainability, just all about green, although there's a lot of environmental stuff that we do. It's all about charging the right price, being the best at what we do, charging the right price so we can provide for our families. Too many people out there don't charge the right price and therefore struggle. And also we have a deeper meaning of looking after people not as fortunate as ourselves. So we're talking about mental health, cancer, and actually the rainforest. So there is some real green in there as well. And thirdly, success is based on feedback. So we constantly push the idea of get feedback. One, because it really motivates franchisees when they hear nice things from customers, and other customers like to see what we're doing. And I've actually had some conversations with franchisees in recent days where they said that the customer has rung and said, I want you. Never spoken to the customer before, but the customer has rung and said, name of technician, I've read your reviews. I want you to come and do my pest control. So it's like, wow, it actually shows how powerful feedback is. And then finally, the success side of things. Measuring success is success for franchisees in the network and success for people working, employees within the brand. I want people to feel success, and success is very personal. So we judge success on whether someone is happy in what they're doing and what they're producing. We've got some people that really want to kick on and do multiple thousands of sales, and other people are happy with just one or two. Again, it's what works for a person and what works for us. So here's a little introduction to some of the guys in the network. You got Farron, top left-hand corner, left the print game about 2 years ago up in Stevenage area. Loving life. You wish you'd done it years ago, and that's a common thread that we hear from people. Wish I'd done it years ago, but everyone has to get over that. Shall I, shan't I? I've got paid employment. I've got a regular income. It's a big risk. Friends and family are saying it's a big risk. We've all been there. I've been there myself. I've left paid employment and taken that. I know, but for me, I made the decision because I didn't want to look back and think, I wonder what would have happened. I was fascinated enough to think, well, I'm going to give this a go. I've done my due diligence. I'm going to make it work. And when you have enough of a pointy stick behind it, you do make it work. Mark Robinson in the middle had a sales role. I think it was for an alcohols company. I might be wrong. Beverage company in Warwickshire. Had one of his best months in June. Again, loving life, enjoying the freedom. Has some long days, has some less long days, so enjoys that side of it. And we've got Ken up in the top right-hand corner, joined last year, I believe. I can't remember, time flies. Joined from the funeral, was a funeral director. He's up in Teesside, northeast area. Joined, hasn't looked back. He's had 16 months and it hasn't stopped. In fact, he told me the other day, he said he wished it was a bit quieter because he'd just like to have some time off, but he's just loving the freedom, loving being busy, and loving earning money. So again, we had an interview with Ken, and you might well find something on our website somewhere where I interview Ken and see how it's going. Then we've got bottom left-hand corner, Gary O'Connor, covers the North London side of things, was a pest controller, had run his own pest control business and came to approach us for a job. And when we started talking, he decided he actually wanted to join the franchise. So he bought North London and does very well in North London. And again, you know, he likes the fact he's part of a franchise because he's got the support around him. He does have the chance to do it, you know, run his business and do it in his time, etc. And he knows that a lot of the stuff that he might have struggled with before is being taken care of. So again, you know, real bubbly character. The only problem with him, he's an Arsenal fan, so we have to give him some grace. And then we've got bottom right-hand corner, Jack. Jack is quite an inspiration, actually, because he joined as an employee of one of our franchisees. And he was supported by the franchisee, Jason Honan, as an employee. And then Jason has sold one of his territories to Jack. So that happened in January. So Jack took the scary decision to buy in to a franchise he was already working with, and he's running the Uxbridge Harrow area. And again, you know, I've seen his figures steadily grow over the last few months. He's a young guy, but full credit for him for taking that step. So there's some of them, and you know, there's a good number across the network. We've got a very strong network of guys, all different personalities, but they all wear the same shirt, maintain the same standards, get reviews, you know, follow the basics that we keep telling. And, you know, people that generally follow the basics really well do well. You know, people who think they know it all and just don't listen tend to, I'm not saying they're not successful, but they tend to hit a few brick walls. So, be part of the team, part of the industry. Well, yeah, I think if you're on this presentation, most of you will know what the industry looks like. You know, there's a big R word that most people know. Interestingly, we actually have some people that are interested in leaving the R word and joining us, but you know, we've had that throughout our time. But there are lots and lots of independent operators, and people always ask about the competition. What about the competition? What about the competition? Well, it doesn't matter which industry you're in, there's always going to be competition. The question is being better than the competition. And I mean, I stress the word better, not cheaper, because everyone thinks the way to compete with the competitors is to be cheap. You know, and we're not an Aldi or a Lidl that can stack it high and sell it cheap. You know, we deliver a great personal service. So actually we want to not stack it high and not sell it cheap. And that leads to people who take the approach, I've got to be cheap, are the people that get by. They never really excel. You know, their van is on their last legs. They always look like a bag of shit. You know, they're just getting by, you know, by the skin of their teeth. And let's face it, when you start a new business, it's always hard to start with. But after the initial period, you know, you should be more than just getting by. The market size is big and keeps growing. So it's the best part of 500 million. Rental, the R word, I shouldn't say is a big part of that, and there's been a lot of consolidation recently, so more and more of the companies are being swallowed up, which gives more opportunity for businesses like us. Now, Pestforce was started many years ago, 2008, by a gamekeeper who loved pest control. Started it basically in his bedroom, I think, virtually, and it grew and grew out of the Boston area. Grew quite a big network of guys. And eventually back in 2014, it all got a bit too much for him. And we, who were already involved in franchising, bought the business. Now, what we say is, while obviously it's got a long pedigree and a long history, that it was really there was a restart to the business in 2017. I won't go into the history of it, but basically we formed something called the Forces Group to look after our businesses. And 2017 was a new start, moved to new offices, had a new management structure, everything. And things have gone really well since that 2017. So we're currently over 50 technicians, and our plan is to grow to about 100. And the thought process there's about 120 postcode regions within the UK, 27 million households. And we divide the country up into the right size areas in terms of the geographic and the demographic of that area, which I'm not going to go into in huge detail, but we know that the territory we give people is going to be big enough to support a good business. And interesting in that, I was talking to a guy tonight who runs one of the smallest areas. So going back in history, bought a territory before we were involved. It's now transpired that it's one of the smallest, and he now turns over one of the biggest turnovers. So it's not all about the size. It's about what you do with it. So just about wearing the uniform, it's, I have this question a lot. It's all about the money and how much is it and how much can I earn? And I know they're really important. I know they're really important questions. How much is it and how much can I earn? But let me put it this way. If it is all about money, and you don't think wider than that, then it's not going to work. Because the most important thing is seeing yourself do the job. If you can't see yourself getting up in the morning, it could be early in the morning, you could be working at weekends, you could be working in the evenings, element of choice in that. Our guys work hard, and some of them will play hard as well, but you've got to see yourself doing it. This is not about the grind, going to the grind and earning good money. This is about loving what you do and letting the rewards come to you. And we see it time and time again. Let the rewards come to you, because if you love what you do more than just hard work, then things will be a success, or certainly it's in the right way forward. But too many people are more keen on all the numbers, which is an important part, and I'll come on to that in a minute, but it's not the most important. You've got to see yourself doing this job, be proud to be a pest controller, be proud to wear the uniform, be proud to drive a liveried vehicle, because this is going to be your life moving forward. And when you get into the franchise agreement, you're talking 5, 10, 15 years. This isn't just a 1 or 2 year in and out. This is a long-term thing. And I can say genuinely that every single guy in our network, I might be proven wrong here, but every single, love what they do. Absolutely love what they do. Almost to a man that I talk to now, I wish I'd done it 20 years ago. And I genuinely mean that. But as part of our process, we ask you to go, and if you want to go to the next stage of our process, we ask you to go and talk to the network and get the good, the bad, and the ugly from them. Anyway, wearing the uniform, it's all about mindset, attitude, and resilience. They're the 3 key attributes that anybody needs to be a success. You can learn to be a pest controller. We can teach you to be a pest controller. And we can teach you to run a business. We can teach you to market your business. We can teach you to sell your business, as in sales for your business. But mindset, attitude, and resilience is firmly set in your brain. It's in your mind, how you see things. If you're a very negative person, everything's bad, you might struggle to run your own business because things don't always go to plan. Things don't always go as you think. Right now you might be thinking and imagining what it's like to run your own business, but the reality on the shop floor is completely different. That's why it's really important that you go, as part of the process is to go and talk to people who live it every day. We try and give you a good idea. I go out and see guys all the time, but, I know the good, the bad, and the ugly out there. And it's not all about, rose tinted glasses. And I can tell you about all the good days people have, but they have bad days as well. About wearing the uniform, if you are stubborn and not open-minded, you might struggle. Talking to a franchisee the other day who for a year, resisted, I can't do this, I shouldn't do this, I'm not going to do that, it's too hard to do that. Said to me the other day, I wish I'd listened to you a year ago, because I'd be in a much better place than I am now. I'm doing the things you asked me to do and I'm seeing the difference. And, I'm not pretending that we are good at everything that we do. We make mistakes, but we have seen it time and time again. And it's a little bit like, don't touch, ow, or I told you, but you are, if you come into business, you are your own self. There are various things you do need to do, but you are going to take decisions. You're going to make decisions for yourself. But I think we will challenge you to change the way you think, because a lot of people, the way people think is wrong, which is why too many people don't succeed. And as I said, we're constantly learning, but we've learned a lot over the years. Getting out of your comfort zone is one of those things. I hate doing stand-up presentations. I hate doing presentations generally, but I'm a qualified accountant by trade. I'm a Crystal Palace fan. Oh my God, there's a lot of things that don't go in my favour, but I have forced myself to get out of my comfort zone and do the things that are important. And that's what you need to learn in business. We all sit in our comfort zones and do the same things day in, day out and wonder why we get the same results. Well, surprise there is you've got to go and do something a bit different. And we challenge you to do that. But, it's a lot of the success of our franchises is down to the franchisees. We give them the stuff to make it work. And the guys that do best are the ones that learn to drive it quicker. They learn to drive quicker. They learn to all the little tips and tricks that really make a difference. And also about wearing the uniform, just coming away from the sort of day-to-day is what do you want to achieve long-term? Again, we will talk to you. If we go to the next stage and start talking to you, we'll want to know about you. What are you trying to achieve? What do you need to achieve? What do you need to earn? Who do you need to support? Because if we don't know that, we don't know whether this is right for you. Pest control might be the most important thing that you want to do. But if it's not going to work for you and your life and your family and your plans, then there's no point doing it. But too many people think about the present, and we look at the bigger picture, because there's just no point us putting time and effort into developing someone and find their plan was a 3-year plan, because it doesn't work for you, and it certainly won't work for us. So again, we dig in and we ask you, what do you want to achieve long term? And ultimately, it's about protecting the brand. We've got a lot of people invested in this brand. If you join us, you will be invested in the brand, and you want to make sure others around you are not doing silly things. And we've had to take some hard decisions over the years to really try and make sure that we've got everyone under the right banner, doing the right things. And that has been painful, but where we are today is in a hugely better place than we were maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It's a completely different business to what we got involved in 5 or 6 years ago. And that's all for good. That's it, all in a good way as we move forward. So let's move on. Just conscious of time a little bit. So the franchise, what do you get? Okay, so these are sort of subjective things, but I think it's important to talk about, a quick start. I cannot underestimate the importance of a quick start when you start business, because every day or week you're not earning, you're going backwards. So we're very keen to make sure we give you the quickest start possible. That doesn't mean that training is really short. What we try and make sure is that you get in there, we get everything set up, you get trained, and you can get out earning money. And again, telling a little story again, we met someone last year who already ran a business in a different part of the UK and wanted to expand it, and saw us as a franchise as a quicker way to do it. He said, it will cost me less to join a franchise and have a quick start than it will to build from the bottom up, which I thought was, it's a nice thing for me to have to tell you, but it's a true story. So someone who owned a business in pest control and wanted to expand into another area saw franchising as a quicker start, cheaper start than doing it himself. Now, to get all cards on the table, he did not join us because I felt there was too much of a conflict of interest in what he wanted to achieve with his current business and our business. But a real interesting thing for me, something I understood, but interesting coming from another business owner. The training and the guidance, obviously initial training, continued training and continued guidance. We've got a guy in our network, a guy in our team that's got 40 years pest control experience, and the whole network. If you multiply the number of years experience we've got in the whole network, it goes into hundreds of years of experience. So we've got people that are very specialists in certain areas. And there was a little bit of sharing last week from someone who wanted to know more about some agricultural work, and we put them in touch. So there's loads and loads of training and guidance. And the guys sometimes work quite closely together in their regions. When you've got neighbouring and bordering franchisees, but equally, some of these relationships, can expand the whole length and breadth of the UK. These effectively what they are. They're the partners and your team members. Really, really, it's a big part of us. Being part of the team. You are on your own a little bit, but you've always got people around you, people to talk to. And it's something that I know the guys talk about, that is an important part, because that helps their motivation, keeps the support going. a real, it's a soft part of it, but it's a massive part of it. Being part of something always gives people a bit of an identity, and I think it really helps them. And certainly going through lockdown, we've had to really help motivate and pull people through that. And had they been on their own, I think some of them might not have made it. I don't know for sure, but having those webinars, having some phone calls, the work coming in, it supported everybody. And ultimately, wealth creation. Now, obviously, if you get into a franchise, you run a business, you earn money. So you earn money as you go. And ultimately, when you leave a franchise, there's money coming back to you because you've got an asset that you can sell. So same as you buy into a franchise, you're buying an asset. You earn money from that asset as you go, and then you sell the asset. And the likelihood is you could sell that asset for more than when you bought it. So, a franchise is like buying I'm going to say like buying a car, but that wouldn't be right because the car depreciates. But it'd be like buying an antique car that increases in value if you look after it and you do it the right way. But the minimum you should expect is when you buy in, you earn money throughout, and then you sell and you get money back. And that's an important part because everyone talks about the cost of a franchise, but actually you're investing. You're investing a lot of that upfront money into your future. It's a new way of life. However you thought a new business, however you thought running a business goes, unless you've experienced it, maybe with friends, family, or you've done it yourself, you never really understand what a new way of life is until you do it. And I can't, what's the word? I can't artificially manage that. It just have to take it from me. I've gone from paid employment to a new way of life. And don't get me wrong, highs, lows, I enjoy it. I get a lot of good time to myself, and there's time I don't get to myself. But it's a new way of life. And ultimately, you earn the right to control your earnings and your time. And I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest reasons why people go into running their own business, is to earn the right. You cannot start your own business from scratch and expect to have all the time in the world unless you don't want to grow your business. You throw yourself into this, and over time you create the opportunity to earn good money and take time off. And again, that's very much down to franchisees to do that. So I hope that all makes sense. So just talk about what you get. So just picture it. This is Steve. He joined us. He turned up day one with a van. So you need a white or silver van. A certain age bracket. It's got to look the part. And then basically we go through training, and these are different things. So start in the left-hand corner, we will livery your vehicle. Come down below the van. We've got the shirt. We'll give you uniform, trousers. We don't buy your shoes, but trousers, tops, etc. Underneath me, we build your website. So you get a website or websites that have got your details on that customers can find and call you directly. If you go to the right, then what is that picture of? There's a picture of okay. Sorry, that picture there is attached to a Facebook page. You can't see it very clearly, but we set up your business Facebook page for you. To the right of the group of people in the middle at the bottom, we give you stock, and we don't just give you 2 bait boxes, but we give you stock to crack on and get working. Above the bait boxes, we set up your Google My Business to make sure that we have another avenue for you to get work. Above that, on the top right-hand corner, you go through business training with the team here in the office. It'll be financial, it'll be marketing, sales, health and safety. There's a whole load of things that we do here in the office, so you would meet some of the teams. Obviously, we're changing that a little bit with the current COVID situation, but the training is still being delivered, and recently we've done it more video conferencing type format. To the left of that, right in the middle at the top there, that is some actual hands-on training. That is down at the rodent farm. It's not a formal part of the training, but it will be part of your induction somewhere along the lines. As you're going to see rodents and how they operate for real. A really interesting place. Everybody who goes there finds it absolutely fascinating. So it's basically a farm full of rats running around, and you get a good insight. And the guy who takes the training down there, he's excellent. He travels the world teaching this stuff. You even get a little credit card machine to the left of that, so we make sure you've got the ability to take a non-cash payments. Below that, we set up your email system, so you don't have to worry about emails. You have a corporate emailer system. Below that, we set up a system to capture reviews. So you can see the 5 stars. So again, it's personal to your business. So you collect your stars personal to your business and they go into the big pot for the company. Right in the bang in the middle, you can't really see it, but you get business cards, stickers, collateral, key rings. So there's a load of marketing stuff that starts you off. And then to the right of that is a picture of our ops system. So you get a system where you can record your work, bill the customers, get reviews, and it's held in the cloud. It can keep a diary in that system. There's lots of different things it can do, but basically we give you enough stuff to basically go out and start working. So when you leave here, this is Ken. So he would have arrived with a white van and he goes away, liveried vehicle, in uniform, and he's ready to go. It sounds really simple, but I think we have a checklist of about 80 or 90 things that we have to check off before we know that you're ready to go into the big wide world. And let me tell you, when you drive out that door, it's probably the scariest moment of your life, because you will probably really enjoy the training and you'll learn hopefully new stuff, not everything, but you'll take away some key learnings, and then you'll be really excited. You'd have enjoyed a bit of food, certainly if we do it in the office. But the day you drive out of the office is probably the moment you go, oh, wow, I'm now out there. But you're never alone, because we've got people to talk to all the time, and we'll make sure that we are there for you. And once you've got the first job out, or the first few jobs out of the way, things certainly become easier and easier and easier. So just talking about franchising versus independence, I know a lot of you may well think, well, I can go and do it myself, and certainly that is an option, can't argue with that. But what I focus on here is in the middle section here: marketing, admin, answer the phone, convert calls, do the finance, and do the jobs. This is what we want to get you involved in, the core functions that really drive your business. And then all the other stuff: insurance, IT system, website development, suppliers, tracking, business sort of reviews, analysis, complaints, design, work, contact details. We do all the stuff in the background, and on the stuff in the middle is where we focus our training and our development. So you will learn and you'll develop, and the more you do it, the better you'll get, and we'll give you feedback on how well you're doing. And it just takes time. You cannot drive out the door first day and get it spot on every time, but you develop over years, and the learning will carry on. You can only learn so much in the weeks that we do our training. You learn a lot, so much faster once you're out there doing the job and asking questions. And that's just the way that the training generally works. So you get overloaded a little bit with information during training, but then over the next few years you start discerning. And I had a one-to-one with one of our franchisees last night, and he said he'd been in network 2 years. He said it's only in 2 years now that I'm beginning to realise the importance of this and the importance of that. And it sounds weird, but that's absolutely the way it goes. 2 years flies by in no time. The value of franchising, this slide is really just to reiterate that that I suppose we've chosen it because it's come from that West Bank, and it basically says that a lot of small businesses fail within the first 3 years. More than 50% of small businesses fail within the first 3 years, whereas 90% of franchising report profitability. And the number of failures, commercial failures in franchising, they reckon is less than 5%, and that probably is about right. Now, you have more than just there's very few commercial failures in terms of does a model work. It's whether it works for the franchisee. We have had franchisees that realise 2 or 3 months in that it's not right for them, and sometimes you can't avoid that, but which is why we go through our due diligence to try and make sure that we know that this is going to be the right thing to do. And as I said, the guys that get through our process, do very, very well. But you cannot take away the fact, whatever you do, start your own business or even going into franchising, there's always risk. There's always risk. This is never going to be scot-free. I'm never going to look at you now and say it's guaranteed to be successful, because that would be lying. And people that give you these guarantees and all sorts of other wonderful things, I don't think are being genuine. Everything comes at a cost. What we like to say is we'll give you the reality, and then you can make the choice for yourself. And if you want to read that formula there, a formula of a locally owned and owned and run enterprise driven by a small business owner with the branding, economies of scale and support from the wider network and brand gives a business owner a far better chance of success. So that sort of sums up franchising. It's not my words, it's taken from, I say, a NatWest survey, but I think it's always interesting to show that, because I think some people don't realise that small business is so important to the UK economy. I think small businesses make up something like 99% of the UK economy. But when you start out in businesses, most of them fail. Right, I hope you can read this. So we're getting towards the end now, guys. So the franchise agreement, just to give you a bit of a steer, it's an important document. It's what you buy. It's your investment, because this will give you the protection. It's a 5-year agreement. It's renewable as long as you are abiding by the franchise agreement. You're not in breach of it. It's renewable on your terms. There is a £500 renewal fee. So every 5 years you pay another £500, but you don't pay, any more in terms of, your original starter fee. Is just a renewal fee. We try and make it really easy for the first 3 months. So there's no management fees for the first 3 months. And then over the next 5 years, we actually set out what your management fees are. They're fixed in terms of the local business that you drive. But we've made it that way to make it clear what you have to pay every month. It's very clear what you have to cover. You do have the right to resell. Again, don't think this is a quick in and a quick out. But if you decide you want to sell up, then you have the right to sell. Again, don't think that's a quick process. You don't put your business on eBay on one day and you sell it the next. It's probably a 1-year process, maybe more. So it's about finding the right person, getting the right price, etc. So, reselling is not an easy process, but there is the right to do it. It's full of your obligations to protect the brand. So it is heavily weighted in our favour. We're not going to change it, I'm afraid, but we recommend that you read it and understand it. We do have some obligations in there, but the balance is weighted in our favour. You operate under a territory, so that means your designated area is your territory. No other franchisee can operate in there, or not without your consent. Some franchisees really work together on some jobs and things like that. And I think, as I said at the start, the franchise agreement is an asset. You're buying a franchise is an investment. So, when you buy into if you were to buy into the Pestforce, of that initial fee, some of it is training, which is obviously to get you up to speed, which you'd have to do anyway. And a part of it is the investment in the franchise, which gives you the quick start. And it is a lot of money, and I'm not pretending it's not, but in real terms, that is the part of doing business. And we'll talk about that, I think, on the next slide. So talking about money, business planning. So it's just another key part of our process. So let's just cover off. There is the initial investment, which is the cost of franchising, the training, which I talked about, and the business asset. So there's the big tick. That's the biggest cost. Well, probably the biggest cost. Then not included in that cost is you have to put yourself in a van. And we suggest a sort of Ford Transit short wheelbase is a type of size, but we do have some guys in the smaller type vans, the sort of Peugeot Partners, VW Caddy. But it's got to work for you. And again, talking to the network, you get an idea of what works for them. Some people lease it, some people rent it, some people buy new, some people buy second hand. As long as it's white or silver and it's low mileage and not too old, then it's right. It will work. And then the big piece is the working capital. So it's very clear what the cost of investment is to everybody, and you will know what you're going to want to spend or what you need to spend on a van. Those two costs are really clear. Working capital is trying to understand your personal circumstances and how it fits with our business model. We know what on our worst case scenario is what you should earn in the first year, and we have to work all the way back to what do you need to earn to run your business, or as in to earn to support your lifestyle. If you've got very little outgoings, then it's a lot less risky. If you've got a big family and privately education, then you've got a huge risk because you've got to maintain those costs. And the working capital is making sure we balance, we put the right cash, or you put the right cash into your business to make sure it's a success. Now, we always get the question, can I borrow the money? Well, there's always the option of borrowing money, and Gail can take you through what those options are. But a lot comes down to your credit history. It's certainly more helpful if you're a homeowner, and it's certainly more helpful if you've got some money for a deposit. again, it's a normal situation, poor risk, poor credit, no assets, no cash. It's going to be tough. There are one or two avenues, but it's going to be tough, and you'll probably pay higher interest. If you've got a good credit history, you're a homeowner, and you've got some cash to put into this, relatively easy. And what we do again is, when you're looking at the business planning, if you're borrowing money, we need to relook at your business planning, because obviously there's capital and interest to be repaid, and we try and look at all of that. It's a really important part of our process, but it doesn't happen until a little bit later. And we want to make sure, is this the right thing for you? Is this something you can get excited about? Because we have found too often that some people start the finances and say it won't work. When you actually think it through, if the model is right from a business perspective, then the finances has to work, because other people have borrowed money to get this to work, and they're operating today, and they've paid back their capital, and they own their own business, and they're driving more cash. So while people start, I can't afford, they should actually think slightly differently. We know the model works. It's just a question of ticking the box. Will it work for you? And then obviously in terms of borrowing money, that comes down to, as I say, credit history, whether you own assets and whether you have any cash to deposit. So don't look at franchising and say you can't afford it without exploring it a little bit more. There's a little bit more to it than makes sense. And we have actually had people say, oh, no, this isn't going to work. And when we actually go through the business planning, they realize that it will work. And converse the other way, they think it's going to work. And we looked at the business planning, we said, look, this isn't really going to work unless you've got X amount of cash for your working capital. And to be fair, that conversation went, well, I'm not sure I will. And he was so keen to do it, he went away and got what he needed to make it work. And again, that's the thing. Once you're sure this is what you want to do and you know what you need, you can go away and find it. What else do you need to consider? Okay, we've talked about your vehicle. Again, sole trader or limited company, it might be on your mind. It's a long way down the road, but most of our guys are sole traders, but a limited company wouldn't be a problem. VAT or no VAT, again, these are things detailed further down the line. Most of our guys start without being VAT registered and then look to become VAT registered when they need to. Some people look at becoming VAT registered straight away and not really sure it's the right thing to do. And the last thing is, while we look after all your business insurance, we don't look after your personal accident. So if something was to happen to you personally, you need to make sure you have the right provisions in place. We don't cover that. We cover your workmanship in terms of with your customers, but if you have an accident, then that is something you need to think about from an income security point of view. So is now a good time? So I talked earlier about how the current situation has impacted us, and it's I can't say it hasn't impacted us, but equally we've been through a downturn for a couple of months, and suddenly bang, our best month ever, which I had no thought that was going to happen. We were seeing a gradual improvement on our numbers, but I didn't expect the numbers to go through the roof. And talking to the network, it's a mixture of the season change, of people going back into work after lockdown, and just generally the phone ringing more, which is great. But is it a good time to start now? And again, this all comes down to the big thing of depends, because of the important pieces that need to be put into the puzzle. We just constantly need to look at that. It's a recession-proof industry. We're key workers, so there will always be work to be had, even if we were to have a second spike or something. But we're all in it. The thing I've written in the middle here, your individual success is made up by 90% of you and your actions and 10% the outside world. So it doesn't matter whatever we're going through. 10 years ago we went through a financial recession. It's down to the individual, because everybody's impacted by the outside world. This could be the worst economic downturn there is, but pest control will still exist. And it's your attitude to be successful in those periods that is everything. And it says there, your attitude is everything. There are some people that will close their books and close their business because of coronavirus. And there are other people that will just adapt and evolve, and it will be a great time. There's never it's never the right time to start your own business, or it's always your right time to start your business, whichever way you look at it. Some people have joined the network even though coronavirus is on, and they're doing okay. Other people have decided to put it off to wait to see. And my question is, wait to see what? What are you waiting? I don't know what the future holds. I really don't, but I do know that we will keep pushing on as a brand. my budget is to keep expanding and keep growing even during the current period. We will be challenged, but when is the best time to start? Don't know. We would, if it's the right time for you, it's because the numbers work and things work for you. So again, come back down to we are taking the same approach in our taking on new franchisees and choosing right franchisees, or franchisees choosing us, using the same process. What's going on in your life? What do you need? What's your expectations? What do you need to earn? What do you need to earn? Not what do you want to earn, because that's another question. What do you need to earn? And if it's right, we will show you how we think it will work. And ultimately, if you don't think it will work and we don't think it will work, it won't work. But if everything is in the right place, then it could be the right time to start. So is now a good time? I'm just going to answer it with depends. And why does it depend? It depends on you, your situation. We've just delivered, our numbers aren't going down, so we know the earnings potential is still there. The question is that still, does that make it right for you to join us? It might not be. So in summary, and this is the summary, we've gone over a little bit longer. Let's, do you want a new start? Big question. Could this be a good fit? Another question. Can you see yourself loving what loving it? Can you see yourself doing it? Can you see yourself being a business owner? But as much as you're a business owner, you're part of a team. You don't have absolute, free will to do whatever you want because you represent a brand. But we do want personality and people driving their personality. But, you have to operate within the boundaries of what the brand is. We've got some values. We've got a mindset that we go through with you and teach you. And there's nothing there that you couldn't subscribe to. But what we need to do is we'll be pushing in the right direction. And I think in terms of running your own business, the question is do you have the right attitude and resilience? And I don't think you will know that for sure, because you will probably be working long hours, be happy to work long hours. And I'm not talking about long hours, because all my guys can work long hours. They can work ridiculous hours if they want to and earn great money. It's whether you've got the right attitude and resilience to go through the ups and downs that it's like when you're running your business. And it's more a mental challenge than it is a physical challenge. And I mean that genuinely. I run my own business here, so I know exactly what it is. But ultimately, do you want control of your earnings and your time? That's what you're working towards. You throw yourself into this, you grow your business, and you can make choices. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that you're going to be wedded to this 20 hours a day from day one. But you've got to throw yourself into this. Enjoy life, and it is about enjoying life and enjoying what you get. But you make choices, and your choices will largely work out on how well you're going to do. But the biggest question is whether you're ready to take the next step. And the next step is not to join Pestforce. The next step is to take the step in our process. Do you want to take the next step to exploring a little bit more? Is it going to be right for you? Can you see yourself loving it? And we need to maybe dig a bit deeper. And certainly the next step, which I think actually is on the next slide here, is, if you want to grab a one-to-one and dig a bit deeper, this is not the forum for us to dig a bit deeper. It's just to pick up the phone, have a chat with Gail, and we'll have a one-to-one video call. But equally, if this isn't right for you, just say no now. It'll save Gail following up with you and sending you emails and probably annoying you with stuff you don't need. So if it's the right thing for you, and you want to dig a bit deeper, then ask Gail to set up a call or something. If it's not for you, just tell Gail, look, honestly, I love what you do, but it's not for me. It's not for now. And we won't trouble you again. And I don't want to waste my time or your time with those annoying phone calls. As good as Gail is, and she is very good, there's no point doing it. So it's your call. At this stage, it's your call. I can't discern whether you're right or not for the network. I think there's a few guys on the call today that I have probably spoken to. And I think a lot of what I said is probably stuff that I've echoed to them already. The number for Gail is on these slides. Unfortunately, it's covered by my thing, but it's Gail at Pestforce, and it's 01491. You can't see there. And these are a couple of pictures. Werner joining, South Wales guy, and Jason Hone, Southampton. And lastly, there you go. Did you get what you want, or did we answer the questions? I'm conscious of time, and I can't see the inbox. So I'm going to, if there are some questions, ping it in the box,
in the inbox, and I'll see if there's anything there particular. I don't think there's anything there at the moment. But if you've got any particular questions, there you go. There's the numbers again. Ping Gal an email or something, and let us know. But other than that, I'd like to wish you all a nice, pleasant evening. There we go. Pestforce, the most reviewed pest control business in the UK today. Look, I hope that's been useful. I hope I haven't bored you too much with that. And as I say, maybe we'll talk soon. Cheers, guys and girls, ladies, gents, whoever's on the call. Cheers now.